Hi, I'm Andy Yerkes, and you're watching the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. It's Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Roll it.
Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Join Jake and his friends on a journey through pop culture of the past, where they interview professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and so much more. Who will they be chatting with today? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Happy to be with us. Thank you for joining. As always, I'm your host, Jake Duffenbaugh. With me today, as always, our co-host, Chris Bixby, and Matt Bingle. How you guys doing?
We're
Doing
good.
terrific. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Glad you're with us. How are you doing, Jake?
Doing great, as always, Matt. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. We have a terrific episode lined up for you folks today. I mean,
Yes.
it's a lot, but it is an amazing episode. Go ahead, tell us about it.
Yes, thank you, Matt. So, of course, today's guests we have in this wonderful episode are the wonderful songwriting duos, the Silvershers, Michael Silversher and Patty Silversher. We'll discuss their songwriting careers throughout this chat, including their involvement with Disney, including the records and some of the series for them, and for the Jim Henson Company for their involvement in series such as Animal Jam and Pajanimals, and so much more. So without further ado, enjoy our chat, Michael and Patty. See you then. Hello everyone, welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Today's guests we have with us are the songwriting duos, the Silvershers, Michael and Patty. Welcome. Happy to have you both here.
Nice to be here.
Delighted to have you here.
Wonderful. Delighted to have you.
Wonderful
Yes.
to hear. Yes, indeed. Thank you both so much for taking time to do this. It means a lot. So, to kick things off, we know who you are, but for those who don't, could you tell our audience a bit about yourselves and what you do?
You want to start, Patty?
Well, Michael and I have been writing songs we started with Disney in 1984, writing children's music. And we've continued working with Disney and the Jim Henson Company, and had written songs for Warner Brothers and Sony. And also now we're working with a company on the East Coast with a new little animated show that they've just created. So it's many years of writing. I'm a lyricist, and Michael's a lyricist and a composer.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's what we do, basically.
Nice.
All right. Well, so what were your childhoods like, and how did you grow up?
Well, back in, I guess my parents got a piano for my sister when she was 10, I was 5. And I just started sitting down and playing it. I had all this music. I always asked myself, is the music I'm hearing coming from the outside in or from the inside out? And a lot of it was coming from the inside out. So I started actually writing songs and writing music when I was about 8. So, and I never had any formal training until just about the time I was 17, when I won a scholarship to a Berklee School of Music in Boston from Downbeat magazine for a summer course. And the main thing that I learned from that was the circle of fifths. And the circle of fifths to me is the Kabbalah of music. So you can know everything about the relationship between keys and chords throughout the whole scale from that. So, and I've used it ever since.
Nice.
Hmm.
Nice. So I'm kind of curious, did you both always want to work in music as careers?
No, I grew up in a family of 9 people, and it was just a lot to do, and it was a very social family, and I'm a very social person. I did play guitar many years ago, and when actually I met Michael, we were both working at a theater company in Palo Alto, and we got married. he said to me, because I had never written a song, but I always loved to play with words. And so once he said, hey, there's this international song contest that I'm going to submit a song for. It's a Christmas song contest. And I said, great, let me hear the song. So he played me the song and I said, well, you know what? Would you mind if I tweaked the lyrics? So I rewrote the lyrics and we submitted the song and we won first place. And we thought,
wow, that's great.
It was a good time.
That's how we started.
I always feel that sometimes my lyrics are, not obtuse is not the right word, but esoteric. And she was able to find what's esoteric and make it familiar so people could really relate to it. And that's always been her gift and our gift of working together. So
Nice. Now, before we kind of get into the whole, writing songs for TV, of course, with Disney early on, you wrote for a number of their records,
right.
like, Splashdance and,
Terrific album, by
Mousercise
the
and
way.
things like that. Yes,
Yeah.
love Splashdance.
Mousercise was
Oh
our
yes,
first.
me too.
Actually. Yeah. Mousercise was our
There you
first thing that we did with Disney. And that
on
was
the wall.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
that's cool.
There you go.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a painting that was on the
There's
wall of Gary Kreisel's
Oh wow. Okay.
the
Rock Around the Mouse.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is our first
Oh, that's
full record.
awesome.
That's
Love
awesome.
it.
The Mousercise, I was doing a workshop in LA. We were living in Palo Alto, and I was doing a workshop in LA, and we met with Tom Bocci, was then the head of publishing for Disney, and it was one of the situations where he said, "We need a song yesterday," and he said, "And the song is going to be called Pig Out," and so I sat with I had a record of drum drops, which was you just put the record down, you have like drum figures that are played by somebody, and then I wrote the music to the song, and then we wrote it with several verses, and they called us back and said, "We like this, but here's what we want it to say. Here's what we want the first verse to say, second verse to say, third verse to say." And then we sent it in. And on December 26th, 1981, we got a $500 check with Mickey Mouse on it, saying they had accepted the song. So, and that's how we started. And when it came to Splashdance, I had been submitting demos to Disney. I was on the Yamaha artist program, and I'd been submitting demos to them of songs we were writing. And they called me up one day. Gary Kreisel said, have you ever, have you, we thought we found a producer for the album. I said, "Oh, great, who?" And he says, "You." And I said, "Well, I've never met before." So Jim Magon and I co-produced Splashdance.
Jim
I love
Macon.
Jim.
Oh, he's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's so lovely.
Jim
Yeah.
and I used to work a lot together. We all worked together when we were doing at the record company. And when Gary and Jim left the record company and went to Disney Animation, they took us along with them. So that's how that happened. So we were very lucky.
Nice.
That's great.
Disney
Nice.
Animation. Trying to think.
Yeah.
I know around that time there were like these animated music videos, not technically newly animated, but it was like DTV or something like that. It was like, for those who don't know, it was like songs very popular at the time. And then they were put into a music video from like older Disney content, which I thought was pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
That was kind of hip
They
at the
used to
time.
do this. They had the silly symphonies for Disney.
Oh
And
yeah.
they
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
were musically based, and they were done from the mid-20s on throughout. And then Warner Brothers did their their version of it, which was Merry Melodies. They had Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies. And but those were all the Looney Tunes. The Merry Melodies, as opposed to Looney Tunes, were music based. So that's where you would have What's Opera Doc in Warner Brothers and stuff like that. So
Nice.
But Disney never got into television animation until about it was 85, 86. And then they had the first two shows were the Wuzzles. And and we tried writing a song for the Wuzzles, which didn't make it. But we made it for the Gummy Bears. And then all the other shows, we wrote all the songs except for the theme songs to, let me see, Chippendales Rescue Rangers and DuckTales were both written by Mark Miller.
We did not
write. We wrote all the songs for the shows, so the character-driven songs for the shows.
Right.
For all the shows, I did Darkwing Duck and everything. So
yeah, going back to it, no worries. Going back a bit to Splashdance, one song that definitely comes to mind from that is a "Happy Happy Birthday to You."
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Yeah.
Hey, we all
track.
were. What do you know?
Such a wonderful song.
Yeah.
Great track.
Yeah, it's a wonderful song.
Noah. Trevor,
Jerry Kreisel said he wanted to have a happy birthday song, and he wanted to have like a lot more energy than the
usual. Right.
Certainly.
And Patty will tell you about Trevor Noah.
I'll be real quick. He is a talk show host, evening talk show host.
Trevor Noah.
I'd never heard of him, but evidently everybody I know, oh yeah, we know who he is. Well, he got on one day and it was a birthday, and he said, "I'm going to sing you all a song." He sang our song. And he said, "My mother raised me on this song." The other song that is known around the world, he goes, "It's a frigging funeral dirge. Listen to it. Happy birthday to you."
It really is.
We're all going to die.
Our song, how happy our song was, because it was a happy song.
Yeah.
It's more uplifting. Yeah.
He grew up in South Africa, and his mom had heard it.
Right.
Disney context with a happy birthday Donald Duck, which we wrote a secondary version for the Donald Duck.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Right. Birthday.
And he heard that.
Right.
And so when he moved to America, they said there was a class, and they were having a birthday, and he got up and started singing, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy. And they said, "That's not the birthday song. This is the birthday song." And he heard it, and he said, "You gotta be kidding."
Come out, just Trevor Noah, happy birthday song, and you'll be able to see his segment.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Interesting.
Yeah, we had to check that out. The subject of happy birthday to you, you had mentioned Donald Duck's 50th birthday.
Right.
And with Splashdance as well, Donald at that time was voiced by the late, great Clarence Nash, who we sadly lost not that long later in February of 85. I am curious
that this last recording session.
Michael, hold on. Let him finish, Michael.
No. I was just simply going to ask, like, what was it like working with him? Because I know there was a special that aired in November of '84 with Donald Duck's 50th birthday, and I believe that was his last filmed appearance as Donald Duck before he passed away.
It was hosted by Dick Van Dyke.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was his last appearance. And as a matter of fact, he was slated to be on they were doing a float for the Rose Parade, Donald Duck's birthday, and he was on the float, and it was like at 4:30 in the morning, and he collapsed. This was January 1st, 1985, and he died about 6 weeks later. But then the float came through without the music and without him on it. It was very sad. We had no idea what had happened.
The weekend of the Olympics here in Los Angeles.
No,
That was before
that was
that.
earlier.
That was the
That was
summer.
the-
That was the summer of '84.
Yeah,
Summer of
That was a huge deal here
the
in the
Rose
States.
Parade is always on January 1st.
Oh, okay.
The January 1st of the year, and they were doing it was the end of his 50th birthday year. So, which is kind of interesting. That's when he died.
I went to Disney.
I have a wonderful Clarence story though. One day
Sure.
he called me up and he says, "Michael, do you know the Washington Post March?" And I said, "I know of it, but I don't remember how it sounds." He says, "Well, I have a record of it, and tonight I'm supposed to conduct at the Pasadena Orchestra. They're giving me the Golden Baton Award for Donald Duck, and I want you to help me learn to conduct it." So I went over to his house in Montrose, and we sat around and we listened to the Washington Post March, which is by John Philip Sousa, written for the newspaper, and we conducted the thing together with this little record player. It was really a touching moment for me. He's a great guy. And the other thing I will say about him recording Donald Duck, he did the Donald Duck voice for the Happy Birthday song that was on Splashdance. And that's when I learned that Donald Duck talked dirty when in the recording studio. He would talk dirty in the Donald Duck voice, and if you slow down the tape in half, it sounds like his regular voice, which is very strange because he did the Donald Duck voice like nobody else. Because people do it like that, but he would do it, and you could actually articulate the words. It was amazing.
Right. Yeah.
But he was so much fun to work with, and such a sweet guy.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So early on in your songwriting careers, as we had briefly touched up on, you wrote songs for a number of the series for Disney Afternoon, starting off with the themes for Gummy Bears and also TaleSpin. Could you talk about writing those two themes in particular?
Sure. You want to say something, Patty, or you want me just to blabber on? Which I tend to do. I have a good memory for all those little moments and things. Actually, the Gummy Bears theme, we were working on, they showed us all the characters, and they showed us, we have what was called a Bible. And the Bible had the...
Bible's our script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically the script, which outline the setting and who the characters are. And it would tell us who the characters are in regards to how they were going to be interacting with each other. The Gummy Bears, the evil characters, whatever, and how they dealt with it. And we looked at it and I thought, oh, this is great. We came up with some music. We came up with about 5 or 6 different things. And we would pass them on to Gary Kreisel.
That's right. Now I remember.
And Gary Kreisel was his secretary. He didn't talk to us. His secretary would talk to us and say, "Gary thinks you can do better."
He kept saying everything we turned in, he thinks you can do better. Finally, I said, we would like an in-person meeting with Gary so we can talk to him. We went in there within less than 5 minutes. He mentioned something about, well, I sort of hear like a Robin Hood kind of a thing. And we turned around, we walked out. The song was written the next hour, called them up, sent it to them. They absolutely were floored. They just loved it.
Yeah, it was the next day we brought it in and it was complete.
Yeah.
So, but it was like that's one of the important things that everybody needs to know when you're in this business. Find out who you're supposed to talk to and talk to them. Everyone else around them is superfluous. Superfluous. What's the word? Anyways, but that's kind of the word. But you always have to talk to the person who has the power to say yes. talking to other
Yeah.
people doesn't really make any difference. So.
Made a big
Right.
difference.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so we got it that the first day, and then years later, that was in 1986, and it wasn't until 1989, 1990, when I got a call from Jim saying we were looking for a theme song for another show called TaleSpin. This is going to be basically the Jungle Book with airplanes, with
Yeah.
Baloo and those characters. And I thought, oh, okay. And I had just returned from the Soviet Union. I'm touring with a play with a theater company, local theater company. And I was thinking Russian music and everything. I said, oh, I'll try to write something Russian. And he says, I want you to think about writing a song based on Sonora by Harry Belafonte, which is at the end of Beetlejuice, with Winona Ryder dancing in the background. It goes, oh, 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 Sonora, watch your body now. And, oh, 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 Sonora, knock your body down. Oh, oh, and I got, okay. So I got onto my little keyboard and I started just pounding out rhythm without looking at anything in particular, but it was a rhythm track, so I could just go boom, 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 boom. And then I wrote the bass line around that. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum. And then the whole line.
Yeah.
Ba-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum. Put it all together.
Right.
And then we came up with the oh TaleSpin. Oh, we wanted to do something.
Okay.
catchy.
Nice.
And Jim had also said, "Can you come up with a tongue twister?" And that's when we came up with a spin it. Let's begin it, bear and grin it when you're in it. You can win it in a minute when you spin it, spin it, spin it.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that we could have go back and forth with those various elements, and so it had like 3 or 4 elements that could be worked with individually or together, and that's one of my favorite themes that we've done. So actually,
Nice.
Oh, that's great. So
yeah.
now you also wrote songs for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers that you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, and DuckTales. What was writing for that like writing for the early Disney series
Yeah.
like those two?
Well, it was good. Well, first of all, we knew the guys who played Chip and Dale were some friends of ours, Will Ryan and Phil. Oh my God, can't remember Phil's name. Phil Barron. He's now a cantor at a synagogue in Encino. Anyways, but Willio and Philio were their group name, and we knew them, and we wrote with them in mind. It was interesting because in those days they had a hard time syncing up unless you were in the right rhythm, and we had written a song that was in 100, like it was 110 beats per minute. And we were told by the animators after the fact that it was very hard to sync up to 110 beats per minute with their animation. So I said, you should have told us earlier. We could have done it at 120, which is an easier sync number, but they didn't. And that was for the song Fat Cat Stomp. So the Fat Cat Stomp was a very difficult song for them to animate to because of the track that we had. So if in the future we said, tell us what speed you want it to be at, and we'll do that. Or what give us a variety of different syncing speeds so we can do that, so we make your life easy and you won't be mad at us. So
Right.
it
Right.
was different. It's writing for characters is different than writing like a theme song. You want to give a general feeling for the setting and the characters, but for writing for particular characters, it's a different thing, because what you want to do is to
Personality and how they act
Yeah.
and how they talk, and that write the song according to this is what would come out of their mouth, not what would come out of our mouth. Yeah.
And you have to know that they don't have self-knowledge. All they know is how they feel. So you have to write to their character, and whatever else happens in the story, they don't know about it until it happens to them. So you write for them in that moment. And that's very important too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So you also wrote songs for several Disney direct-to-video sequels, including The Return of Jafar and The Little Mermaid 2. Can you
Yeah.
talk a bit about those?
Little Mermaid 2, this was interesting because what they did is they gave us the script, and we took the entire first chapter and made the first chapter a song. The whole chapter was a song, Return to the Sea. And they loved it. It worked. So it wasn't just a song that was going to be sung in the beginning or like, in one minute of the movie. It was the entire first chapter of their script was
writing the whole musical scene.
Right.
Also,
yeah.
when we got the script, we got the first script, and we would get subsequent scripts all the way. And we started writing for other characters, like the character of Melody was a new character, the daughter of Ariel. She's a new character, and we got the first couple of scripts, and she was a certain kind of character. And by the time we got to the 7th or 8th version of the script, that character had changed completely. So the song we wrote at the beginning, which had been accepted by everybody, turned out that it wasn't going to work for this new character and the way it was rewritten. So we had to rewrite the song completely and come up with a totally different song. And it was very interesting as a process, because we liked the other song, and I've held on to it. Nobody's ever heard it, but the other song that was used ended up being the song for they did a French version of American Idol. I guess it's French Idol, or Idil de France.
Huh.
I don't know what it would be, and they used the winner of that. That was her song that she used for all the time that she was up for the to win, and she won singing her song for 8 weeks, which was nice royalty wise.
Nice.
Mhm. Very, very interesting. So now, what was it like writing for songs for the Winnie the Pooh franchise?
Oh, I love Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
So that
We all do, yeah. Love
This
Winnie
is-
the
Yes,
Pooh.
of course. I mean, all of us do. I mean, I have the Winnie the Pooh plush right out there.
Among
I have
many
tons. I have
others.
tons of Winnie the Pooh plushes.
Places in the Heart is probably my most favorite song is Places in the Heart. That
Oh,
Pooh
yeah.
sings. Yeah.
That's a good
I
one.
just love that.
Well, the thing about the Winnie the Pooh thing is there was a bunch of songs by the Sherman Brothers that were from the
Yeah.
original, and they were models for us. We owe a lot to the Sherman Brothers. They really showed us the way in so many ways for writing for Disney. And we never met Robert, but we knew Richard pretty well. And he was just the greatest guy, and very open and very giving to us and lots of advice. And we would listen to that. And one of the things that he advised us, that I've said before, is that Winnie the Pooh and those characters do not know any more than they know. You cannot write from any other intelligence for them. They, like Winnie the
Yeah.
Pooh, is a bear of very little brain. So you write from that point of view, and you write in that voice. And the same thing with Christopher Robin and Tigger and Roo and all these other characters. You have to write in those voices, and the way they would express themselves.
Right. Absolutely.
And we
Yeah,
love
so now
everyone for that.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
in that way the characters can be like in a way like I'm still we are how what they've been, you know?
Yes, exactly. It's a very it's challenging, but if you get into the mind
Character.
art set, like we would be in the room and we would actually get into the Winnie the Pooh set. How would Winnie the Pooh talk, and how would he say? And one of the things that Patty does really well is write lyrics with circular logic, so that they come in, they repeat on themselves, and they say the same things backwards and forwards in such a way that's very clever. It tells you something, but it's also kind of funny. So it's really good, and it's a real art to be able to get into their minds and come up with things. So,
What wonderful characters to get into the minds of.
yeah.
Like we all
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. One of the Winnie the Pooh projects that comes to mind that you wrote songs for was the A Very Merry Pooh Year.
Oh
Because
yes.
one song I remember from that is
Yeah,
the
so
song
sweet.
Snow Snows.
Snow
no,
snows the way that it goes. I
Right.
forget the lyrics.
boy, I haven't
Snows.
heard that song since we wrote it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a
Well,
while
we
ago,
wrote.
so no worries.
Yeah,
And
you
then
have to
there's like a
realize
Winnie the Pooh version of Old Lang Syne, I remember.
yeah, and we were,
Yeah.
and the idea was that Pooh was talking about the things he knows about snow. Snows, it falls on my nose, falls on my toes, whatever it does, and that's what he knows about snow. He doesn't really know.
But it's a
He
great
doesn't.
word to rhyme because think of all the rhymes that go with snow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
Exactly.
much fun.
definitely.
Uh,
That's wonderful.
yeah, and we ended up doing a lot of Winnie the Pooh stuff. We did a half a lump film, a Halloween film,
Right.
and we did that song that was that we will be together.
Oh,
We will weather whatever comes along.
Yeah, the
A
Pooh's
friend,
Hempel
a good
movie
friend.
and the
The Halloween one.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I Went to Scare Myself, which was from Boo to You Too, Winnie the Pooh, which was
Yeah,
our
yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
first Emmy
Right.
Right.
nomination from Disney, because we had one previously from Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree for the Henson Company,
Mm.
which was a film with Robert Downey and Robert Downey Jr., Leslie Nielsen, and Stockard Channing, and that was a whole other kettle of fish to work on that. But the thing was with Winnie the Pooh with Tigger, because we had all those songs like the wonderful thing about Tigger is just Tigger's so wonderful things, and you have that little rhythm. So we
Yeah.
got I'm gonna scare myself and everyone else. So we have that fast moving
and that's
thing.
how he talks. That's how, so again, it's just completely taking the character and writing from the character's perspective every time.
Yeah, much fun.
Exactly. Oh, that's so lovely. That's great. So now you're also best known for your songwriting work with the Jim Henson Company. How did you kind of you both first start and begin working for them?
Well, actually, it came out of working on the Disney Afternoon, because Robert Kraft, who produced he produced the Little Mermaid soundtrack for the original Little Mermaid film, and
Mm.
he had a contract to do some other work with Disney, and so his he had two little redheaded boys who loved the Disney Afternoon. And he said, "Oh, we love this song, we love that song on Disney Afternoon." So he proposed to do a Disney Afternoon album. And one day I got a call from Robert Kraft. I'd never met him before. And he said, "I didn't know when I signed up to do a Disney Afternoon album that I was going to do a Silversher tribute album, because 90% of the songs are by you." And so when we did that album, and actually produced the album with Dan Stern and him. The three of us worked on it together. The next time he showed up, he had found himself over at Henson as the music guy there. And he called us up and he said, I'm doing a show called Classic Muppet Theater, and we need some songs. And so we submitted some songs, and we ended up getting 2 songs in that video. It was the first video they had done after Jim had died. Jim had died
Right.
1990, I think.
Yeah.
And in 92 they got back together. So it was the original guys, Frank Oz, Dave Goltz, all those guys, and a guy named Steve Whitmire.
Steve Whitmire, yeah.
He
I
came
love
in
Steve too. He's great.
Steve's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And he came in as Kermit because Jim had been Kermit. So
Yeah.
they had all these people and Steve Whitmire as his doing it. And we wrote the 2 songs, and they made it into the show. And then Michael Thrift, who was also one of the original Henson people,
Right.
was up because he liked the songs that we wrote for that. And so we're doing a special with the National Biscuit Company, Nabisco, and they want to do this book, Mr. Willowby's Christmas Tree, and I want you guys to do the music for that. So
we wrote one that was just the perfect tree. That was the name of
the perfect tree. And here's the thing that's so interesting about us. We went in there, and we had a meeting with Trevor, and we said, so what do you want? And he said, what do I want? What do you want? And I said, what do you mean? He says, I'm asking you to write the music. I'm not going to write the music. And I said, never at Disney did anybody ever say that. Everybody at Disney said, we want this, we want that, we want this specific thing. So we had the freedom to write anything we wanted to. So we wrote this special, and it was really all the music fits together, hand in glove. All the songs come together as part of one song and one piece of music, which I like doing because I'm interested in opera and leitmotif and giving each character their own sound and their own music and everything. And then Patty and I will write the lyrics to those characters. And it was a great experience. It had some very interesting things that happened along the way, but it was also our very first Emmy nomination. So, and Disney I remember Disney calling us up and saying, they gave you an Emmy nomination. How come you never got an Emmy nomination from us? And I said, well, you never nominated us. And he says, well, we'll fix that. So the next Emmy nominations were from Disney. So, but and because we never had a contract, I never had a steady contract with Disney or with anybody for that matter. We were always freelance,
always independent songwriters, always.
Yeah. And because of that, we could write for different people at different times. Go ahead, Patty.
Michael and I had founded 44 years ago, we founded the West Coast Songwriters Association up in Northern California. We started it. It was the South Bay Songwriters Association. And then the West Coast Songwriters Association, the name was changed. We moved down to LA, and it is still going strong. They just had their big annual conference for the first time in Los Angeles about 3 weeks ago. And that was wonderful. But that being said, I've always been also the one that does a lot of our business. I will do negotiations and that kind of a thing. But we've always been extremely rigid that we will never give away a songwriting credit. And that's the story of Little Richard. Because Little Richard, on the Rock Around the Mouse album, we get a call. Michael and I get a phone call from Shep Stern. Shep Stern was the
producer of the album.
On the album. So, you guys, you won't believe it. Little Richard we want him to record your song "Gosh Golly Goofy," And we were like,
Wow.
we were just elated. And then he said, only one little problem though. He wants writing credit. And I said, what do you mean he wants writing credit? He wants credit on the writing as well as the publishing. And I said, absolutely not. And both Michael and Shep, they were so upset with me. And I said, you guys, Michael, we've never done that. We're never going to do that. We did not do it. And guess who recorded the song? Little Richard, without writing.
I will say the one thing I
Wow.
thought about when he asked for writing credit was the fact that he influenced the song, because it was definitely a Little Richard type of song. And the other thing was that Little Richard, for his entire career, had been cheated by his business people. So he never made the money he should have made on stuff. So I felt like, yeah, maybe I could owe him something. But Patty's right. You should never give up the credit for something that you've done 100%. So
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now you also wrote the song Together Forever for the Sesame Street film The Adventures of Elmo and
yeah,
Grouchland. Can you talk a bit about that?
yeah, that was really something. We got a call from a guy named Andy Hill who was producing the music for this movie. And he said, I was listening to your solo album, which I had done a solo album called The Joy of Going Nowhere Fast. And he really liked some of the songs on it. He says, I want something with that feel for a song for Elmo to be singing. So I came up with my little sitar and some of the more exotic type of sounds that I had used on my album, and also written my album on guitar, which I usually never do because I'm a pianist, but I was getting tired of my piano playing and I wanted to do something different. So I wrote the thing on guitar and uh, tried listening to his voice, finding out what Elmo's voice was, because Elmo never says he never says you're my. He never uses the word my. He always uses the word Elmo. He
Yeah.
always refers to himself as Elmo. So you have to keep that in mind when you're doing the song. Well, when I first wrote the song, it had "You're my best friend," and so we changed that for the actual recording of the song. But it was just an exotic thing, and we got the picture, we got the whole scene, which was Elmo is flying around on his magic carpet blanket, who's his best friend, and it
Yeah,
gets
magic blanket. Yeah.
and it gets dirty. And so he takes it to the laundromat and he puts it in the laundromat. So we wanted to write the whole scene where the laundromat and everything. So that ended up mostly everything got into the movie. The laundromat sequence, I had a different, more of an African sound to my laundromat scene than they did. They had a more of a doo-wop thing in the movie, which I thought was really great. And what was funny about that, we had a meeting with the director on the film, and I had my big notebook to take notes, and we played it for him, and he just started pacing around the room, which, when I write, I like to pace myself, and that gives me a creative idea. When he was pacing around the room, I said to Patty, I think he likes it.
Oh, are you talking about Gary Halvorsen?
Yes, yes. We only had one meeting with him. I don't remember much about it except that he just was going,
Right.
oh, I hear it this way and blah, blah, blah. And he was like going all
Yeah.
excited about the song as it existed. And that was great. So in the meeting, I have the title of the song up on top. I said Elmo Meeting is what it says. And there's nothing on the page because I just liked it the way it was. So that was a great experience.
That's
And it
great.
won
I
a
mean,
Grammy Award for the album, won the Grammy Award
That's
for
right.
Best
Yes,
Children's
it did.
Album of Music. So
yeah.
in
That's
1999.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean that song is great. I mean, and as well as the films, it was so
Yeah, the
great.
film itself is a
That
great
time,
movie.
yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, that time, Elmo was like was like huge in
Yeah.
that around that times because with Elmo's World, that's kind of when that when like took off and
Well, Tickle Me
and it's
Elmo was
great
really
that
popular too at that time.
That's right.
yeah, that.
And
Yeah.
Kevin
That's not
Nash
old.
was playing Elmo, and it was funny because I got on the phone with
Kevin's
him,
awesome, yeah.
Yeah, Kevin's great. Yeah.
and he
Yep.
we were talking. He says, "Let me get this straight." And he says, "Let me get this straight. You want it to sound Elmo's not spin," and he would do the voice with his low voice, his low normal
Yeah.
voice, and then he'd start singing in the high voice, and I'm going, it was like very weird because we were talking from LA to New York. So he was
Yeah.
also, we met him. He was also in Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree, the first thing that the second thing that we did with Henson. He played a bear and he played Mr. Mouse. So
That's
Nice.
right. That's right.
Nice.
And it's great to have that concept where they have like just Elmo just like, have his own adventures, like what the whole Grouchland are. For having Sesame to have something like that, it's great.
it was wonderful. A wonderful experience. So
Very fortunate. We worked with some fabulous people at both of those companies.
yeah, we've had a very lucky career in regards to everything that we've done. We've worked mostly with great people, very few jerks. A few jerks, but not.
I mean, that's what biz does,
You'll run into a few of them.
Yeah.
And we've been treated decently for the most part as well. So.
I'm not going to tell you any of those stories.
Yeah.
Goodness. So now you also wrote most of the songs for the Henson series Animal Jam. What was writing songs for that show like?
Well, that was a totally different experience. I'll let Patty talk about that, but a little bit. But I'll say that it was the
there you
first.
go.
Oh wow, that's cool! Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We got those
Nice.
out there, and that's one of our favorite experiences. Actually,
Ah, nice.
it was the
Nice.
first time that we were actually the main songwriters and the musical directors of the whole series
Right.
back in 2001. And you want to talk about our office, Patty?
Well, okay, first of all, with all these years, Michael and I have always written here in this studio that I'm at right now, and we never had an office. And so with Henson, they were doing Animal Jam and they wanted us to do all the music. And they said, we would like to give you an office space here on the lot, on the Jim Henson lot, which I don't know whether you all have been there, but it's Charlie Chaplin's old building. Do you know that?
Never been. I've heard of that, but never been.
It's
Right.
really
Never.
awesome. You should see it because they have the sound stage where Charlie Chaplin filmed The Gold Rush, and you near the recording studio, which is A&M's recording studio for years.
Yeah.
You see in the cement Charlie Chaplin's footprints where he jumped down as the little tramp, all in cement, like in Grandma's Chinese.
Right.
It's just amazing.
Oh wow.
Also,
And the vibe has such a great vibe, that place. So
because they wanted us to be on the lot, our office was Charlie Chaplin's vault,
his costume vault.
costume vault. So it was a small room and the door was really, really heavy, but it was also down the hall was the executive producer of the show. And so we were just constantly going to work there every day. And actually on September 11th at 6:30 in the morning, I was on the lot. I was so excited to go to work in an office, and the phone rings. It's Michael, and he says, "Have you heard the news?" No. He goes, 9/11, there was a big bombing. And so as soon as
into the World Trade Center.
World
Yeah.
Trade Center, Michael says that to me on the phone, there's somebody's banging on my door and window, and they're saying, "Get out of here right now." And I go, "Excuse me," because there's only about 2-3 people here on the entire lot, and we've started to get calls that we may be affected, we may be a target. I guess people were saying that that entertainment companies could possibly be targeted for bombing. So I had to leave. And actually, I left immediately, and our very best friend, Rob Minkoff, who directed Lion King, I ended up going to Robbie's house. Michael came.
And so did
Robbie's house.
After I was thrown off the lot.
And we watched the whole 9/11 happening with Rob. But going back, it was just a lovely, lovely office and space to be able to work on the whole show with all the characters there. It was it was a highlight of our career. Totally.
Yeah, it really was, because for example, the writer of the show, John Derevlini, had an office down the hall, and Hallie Stanford also had an office. And we could go to them 4 or 5 times a day. We wrote songs constantly. Go to them see what they liked, see what they didn't like, make some changes and everything. Everything can happen immediately. It was just the most wonderful, creative, collective experience that there was. And what happened after that, when the production got moved over to the studios, they recorded the whole show at MGM Disney in Orlando. So we all went down there, and we had all the pre-records and everything. And one of the puppeteers got fired in the middle, and so I had to re-record all of her parts for John Tartaglia. What's his name? I forget.
Oh, John Tartaglia.
Tartaglia. He took
Johnny, yeah.
One of the
and he took
sweetest
over- and
people
he-
ever.
He's so lovely.
And he took over
Yeah.
from the other person. So I had to go into a studio at MGM and re-record all of his parts. And I sort of we lived in Orlando for, I guess it was 3 or 4 weeks. And then I had to stay an extra 2 weeks to redo all the recordings with John. So it was quite an experience to do. So
Nice.
yeah. And I loved the show. It was so much fun to do, and to be on the set with all these kids dancing and with
Yeah.
both and the whole thing. It was great.
Absolutely.
Absolutely terrific show, Animal Jam. So I'm curious, do you have any favorite Animal Jam songs that you got to write?
Standing Tall
That's a good one. Yeah.
comes to mind.
Yeah.
And I also like, there's a bunch. I loved, we did sort of a Queen tribute. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Yeah.
Titles, God, it's so long. I didn't even look at it.
It's so amazing when you're in the middle of something. For example, I've been writing the scores for Dinosaur Train and for Word Party, and we did the scores for Animal Jam as well. You're doing so much music all the time. It's hard to just remember exactly what happened when. Let me see.
Do you all know any of the songs from Animal Jam?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a song called Hug a Day, which I thought
Yeah.
was
That's a good song. I remember that song. A hug, a day. And then there's Jingle Jangle Jungle
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
and
Big Body
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Body
I
Good
love Big
Yeah.
Body Goodbye.
Yeah.
Body Talk.
And-
Body
yeah,
Talk.
Body
And then,
Talk. That was in almost every episode. We had at least the background of that.
Yeah, there was like
Right.
Monkey See, Monkey Do.
Oh, I
That
love
one.
that
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Now-
then there was Zebra Zydeco
hmm
and let me see. Jeez.
I know.
Um,
Uh,
You know, when you've written over thousands of songs, it's kind of hard to remember all the titles.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Zebra delicious routine or something like that. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Zebra Zydeco.
Yeah. Some beach or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big body. Yeah, that was the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones.
I'll tell you something about Monkey See, Monkey Do. Is that we wrote that song. It was Monkey See, Monkey Do, Monkey Down Monkey Avenue. Do with me, looking at you. Everybody, monkey see and monkey do. And then I improvised words for the verses. And I had some things like, monkey said, blow bubbles at your ass. And what happened was, I posted it for everybody to hear the song. And then I thought about, did I post it with that lyric on there?
Oh boy.
The studio is open 24 hours a day, and I was at home, so it was like 1 a.m. I woke up and I drove to the studio, went in and took it down and reposted it without the lyric, because I was going, oh, well, somebody might get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
Or the right idea for that
Oh my
matter.
gosh. And before the people like he was like doing like Leslie or Ricky Boyd or us
Yeah, exactly.
or Waffle be doing the song. It's like, wait a minute, why did they put
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we wanted them to come up with their own movements to do for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I just was throwing some stuff out, I said. Whenever you say, do this, it didn't say monkey say.
Yeah.
yeah. Love that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
Anyway.
fun.
Absolutely.
That's great. So now you also wrote songs for some of the PBS series, Sid the Science Kid and Dinosaur Train. What were those
Right.
like?
Sid the Science Kid was really fun because it could do some of our pastiche type things. Like they had this one song about darkness, and I wanted to do a psychedelic Beatles song. So it's a psychedelic Beatles song if you listen to it carefully.
My very big Beatle fanatic.
Yeah. And it was fun because we could do like we did this the song about eating leaves for caterpillars. And so we came up with a Cafe Le Leaf so we could write a French song for the French cafe
Yeah.
type song. And I love doing things that are in different styles that aren't in the normal style. I've always done that.
Right.
With a very broad taste in music. I like everything.
But he also did scoring for both Animal Jam and Dinosaur Train.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Scored all the episodes, which I
Yeah.
didn't have, obviously, because it's all music.
Yeah.
I did 95 episodes of Dinosaur Train because they fired the composer who was assigned to do it after the first 5. Lisa Henson didn't like what he was doing, so they had a cattle call, and I entered the cattle call, and I didn't know anything about scoring a show, but I learned very fast, and I have my own method of doing it now. So I ended up scoring all of Dinosaur Train and all of
Party.
Word Party and all of what is it?
Pajanimals. Yeah.
And we went to Belfast where they were filming Pajanimals when they were doing that. I'm sorry about my cough.
Production company was in Belfast.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Ireland. So go
That
there
was
and meet them all.
quite wonderful to go
It's
there.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've had some
Absolutely.
great times doing this.
Yeah, exactly. And well, actually that's a perfect segue. So what was it like, writing for Pajanimals? Because I know you were, staying on the subject of songs of shows that you wrote a lot of songs for. You definitely wrote a lot of songs for Pajanimals. So what was that kind of like for you?
That was really fun. Just loved the Pajanimals. I mean, we've
Oh
loved.
yeah.
I mean, from Mickey Mouse to Baloo, you name it. I mean, it's
It's been a fabulous career. I'll tell you one
Yep.
thing about writing for Pajanimals. We got the assignment in April, I think it was, and I had decided that I was going to change my system of recording. I was working on this Mark of the Unicorn digital program, and I decided to change to Pro, the digital performer to uh, the one I'm on now, which name I forget. Gosh, what is it? It's called Logic Pro, which was the Apple program, because I figured it was, because I started working with GarageBand. I thought, oh, this will be easy. It's just like a large version of GarageBand. Well, that was a stupid idea because we started working on the show, and I was learning how to use Logic Pro while we were writing songs. And we went from 0 to 12 songs in 13 days till we were on the stage at Henson with a set for Pajanimals, writing all those songs, recording all the songs on a program I was very unfamiliar with. And I recommend that don't ever do that unless you're between things. Don't ever decide to change horses in midstream. So because it's a good way to lose sleep and have an ulcer.
but it worked.
It worked.
Right,
And
yeah.
we wrote all the songs, and it was really fun. We wrote most of the songs, the two of us, and a handful of songs with Alex and
Was one.
And Judy Rothman Wilfe.
yes, and
Love Judy.
and she in fact I just saw her last week at Disney Hall because her
Oh
husband's
wow.
Oh, nice.
her husband's
Great.
in the LA Philharmonic. In fact, he's the oldest
Oh.
member of the LA Philharmonic, and he gave me and my current wife, my other wife, a tour of Disney Hall, uh, and it was wonderful. Um, and we were talking about the fact that Celine Dion was such a big fan of Pajanimals.
Oh wow.
What?
Oh, that's
Oh,
That's
cool.
great.
And she had two babies.
That's
She had
wonderful.
two little boys, Nelson and Eddie. She designed their nursery like the Pajanimals set.
Oh my
Oh, that's cool.
God. Wow.
And she would
Oh,
sing, and
that's
she
Oh,
would sing
wonderful.
la la lullaby to them every
Oh
night.
my
That's
oh,
goodness.
that's
awesome.
Wow.
So
beautiful.
great. And she was on
Wow.
CBS.
That's
She was on
lovely.
CBS this morning at one time, and she sang this song, which was really wonderful.
Oh,
Oh, that's
wow.
great.
That's
That's great.
beautiful.
That's
You never know
wonderful.
who you're expecting with your
Yeah,
music.
Right?
Right,
it was so
yeah,
Lovely.
great.
definitely.
We were hoping to do a project with her for Pajanimals, but because of political situations that happened within Pajanimals, it never happened.
Hmm.
Pajanimals was another one of our favorite experiences. So
Nice, nice.
That's wonderful. And for
Wow.
for having pajamas are where that show's usually usually when of course on Sprout, but like at the Goodnight show where it's when that blog was like about to end. So like pajamas are usually almost like the last shows to be on on the blog before it close out for the day. And for
right.
having pajamas to have a show where like kids who's having trouble falling asleep or something, and then
Exactly.
watching an episode, they can just fall asleep right away.
It's wonderful.
Hopefully.
So it's great to have.
Michael,
Yeah, but to have that, concept,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Michael, can I tell the story about Chick-fil-A?
Sure.
Okay.
So Chick-fil-A was signing a deal with Henson to have the Pajanimals as their big thing where you go up. They do this. McDonald's has it. I forget, what is the McDonald's burger or
Like a
something?
Happy Meal.
Yeah.
A Happy Meal.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were going to call it, but
It's going to be with Chick-fil-A, and everybody was so excited because obviously this would just take this show and take it all over the world with Chick-fil-A. Well, what happened is Lisa Henson found out that he was anti-gay. And she
Right,
pulled-
yeah.
pulled
yeah.
for the whole project.
Yeah.
And we were all in favor of that. So
Right, yeah.
Exactly. So now, similarly with Animal Jam, because we've got to wrote a lot of songs for Pajamas. Do you have any favorites?
Pajamas, boy, I love a lot of the
Yeah.
songs in that. Um,
What, Pajanimals or Animal Jam? Which one?
Pajanimals.
Pajanimals.
I happen to have
You have all the stuff there, Michael, I think.
a bunch of the
Yeah.
of the DVDs here. So
Ah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
remember the songs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let me see. They don't have a stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
To
that's a
the
good one.
plan. Yeah.
Whirly
Right.
whirly.
Great one.
Twirly Whirly. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, and then there's stick to the plan. I was looking at these things here, what they have here. Brusha, brusha, brusha.
Yeah,
Great
uh-huh.
one.
Jiggle, jumble, jump. Octopus
Yeah.
huggle.
Yeah.
Octopus Huggle, that's a great
yeah.
one.
Great.
That's a great one.
Let me see.
I love
Yeah.
Night will sing us to sleep. There was this one song called Put on Your Sleepy Head, I think it's called. It's sort of a blues number sung by Squacky. The Squacky can't sleep. And I just remember
Right. Yeah. I remember.
That's
Yeah.
right.
remember
yeah.
sitting on one end of the room and Patty's at the other end of the room. She's just going, she starts singing this lyric, and I'm going, don't, and then we came up with it right away. It was, I don't know. I'm losing my memory, but I just remember that it was so much fun writing those songs and writing them fast. The fun thing is for both Animal Jam and Pajanimals that we have the chance to really write really fun songs and not second guess ourselves. Just go for it. Just throw it out and see what
Right.
happens.
We were on
Just- yeah. Exactly.
time push too. I mean, we wrote and wrote and wrote. I mean, really fast. That's the thing we do. It's always done is really fast. All of the songs that we write,
Right.
they just come.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there are so many, like Pajama Bounce.
I was
and,
just gonna mention that one, Pajama Rainbows.
That one. And How Do I Know When It's Morning Time?
Another
Oh, yeah,
great Squacky
How
song.
do I
yeah,
know
yes.
when it's morning?
yeah.
And a lot of
And-
good ones.
And then in the end, he goes, "Okay."
Okay.
And then just
I think he just sleeps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back to sleep.
Classic.
Victor, such a
Victor's
great
great.
Puppeteer, yeah.
Great.
Donna Kimball as well is just
Oh yeah,
amazing.
and for Donna's now taking over, Moki,
Oh, she's
Yeah.
doing
Back to the
amazing.
Walk.
Yeah.
Back-
Fraggle Rock and everything.
Revival, yeah.
She's like the secret weapon of Henson, I'd say, because she can do anything. She's so versatile and she's got such a great voice.
Yes,
It was
Oh,
so
yeah.
wonderful.
absolutely.
So I could always feel like we could write something very melodic, and she would really just nail it because she was so good, just a wonderful singer. as well. So that
That's
just
wonderful. Which Donna also got to sing the opening and the closing
that's right.
for
Yeah.
Pajamas
Oh, I
too.
didn't.
And it's
I didn't know she.
also
I didn't know she wrote the. She
and
sang
it's
the opening
also the
too.
mom.
That's
So
right.
Right, yeah.
yeah, if there are times where Pajamas like hearing the mom, it's almost time bedtime Pajamas, that was the
Yes.
mom, and the dad that was Michael Windsor, who was also a performer of the
Yeah,
Apollo for the series
Apollo, that's
and the
right.
Moon. Yeah.
that's
Were
right.
all these shows that you all grew up on?
Oh yeah, Pajanimals, yeah.
Pajanimals,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah,
Pajanimals and
Pajamas, the
Animal
Science
Jam.
Kid,
Pajanimals, Animal Jam, Sid the Science
Yeah.
Kid.
That's so great.
Grouchland,
That's so great. Those are really our favorites
Yeah.
of all. I mean, uh, we just started getting into television in '86, I think it was, and we were just working on all this stuff. I had always wanted to work with Henson. I've always loved the Muppets. And one of my friends
Oh,
that
yeah.
I had done industrial videos up in Palo Alto for Hewlett Packard. And the guy I was working with was this puppeteer, and he had this character called Ray the Seal, Ray the Raycam Seal, and it was Dave Goltz.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Yes, and he lived in Santa Cruz, and he and I would get together and we would work on these little videos and everything. And then he
Oh,
got
that's
picked
wonderful.
up by, and this before he became a Muppet. So it was really cool.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
that's
That's
wonderful.
really cool.
That's
Little
great.
All about Disney. One thing about also writing for all of these, everything we've ever written, we don't ever write a song just to write a song and turn it in. It's always got to be for a script for a character. Well, one day, Michael and I, we were living in Palo Alto, still, and about 1985, and or 84, and there was a knock at the door, and it was little girls, 3 little girls, and they were on a scavenger hunt. So they asked if they could come in and see if they could get any things for their scavenger hunt out of our house. So I let them in, and they ran around and they pulled a couple of things. And as they were leaving, I said, "Excuse me, is there anything you all wish for?" And one girl turns around and she says, "I wish I was magic." And I go, "Oh boy, okay, well, thank you." So the next day, Michael and I were driving down for our first meeting to Disney, and we missed the turnoff because we were writing the song, "I Wish I Was Magic." And we recorded it,
Okay.
turned it into Tom Bocci, who told us, he says, "We can't," he goes, "I love this song. We can't do anything with it because we don't have a project for it." He goes, "But I'm going to sign it anyway." He signed it. He named his dog Magic. And then he left shortly after. He left Disney. And years later, the new guy who came in to take his place was sitting at his desk, Ron Kidd. And Ron said he went down to his desk drawer, that Tom's desk, and there was this cassette of a song called "I Wish I Was Magic." So Disney took that song then, and they created their whole fairy tale series. And our song was the theme song for Disney's fairy tale series.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It
Wow.
was like 5 years later. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just had,
Never know.
yeah.
No, that's
That's
really cool.
great.
That's awesome.
That's
So
wonderful. I mean, going back a bit, like briefly with Jam, there's so many like songs, but I had to like mention, like I feel like you could be, oh yeah, that song too.
keep notes, folks.
A friend, gosh, a friendship song,
Oh, the friendship
yeah.
song. Yes.
Right.
and of course the classics that you usually have like almost every episode. Of course, I mean not just Lullaby, but also Light in the Night Sky.
Mhm.
There's so many great tracks in that show.
Oh yeah, I love
Love.
I love the songs in that show. And yeah, also more recently we worked on Word Party, and
Oh yeah. Hmm.
my favorite song that we wrote for that was Under an Applesauce Sky
Sky.
for Bailey the Blue Elephant. And it's such a fun song. And Alex Rockwell, who started off as Jim Henson's assistant in New York, and ended up as a producer in LA, and was the person who created the Pajanimals show with Judy Roffe. And it was her favorite song, next to Halfway Down the Stairs, or Just One Person. If just one person believes in you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
right, yeah.
the Joe Raposo song, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he
So.
used at Jim's memorial. But
Yeah.
Under an Apple
Right.
Sky is her second favorite song to that song, which
Oh,
was
that's awesome.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
That's
great.
great.
Did you both like wrote like The Land of Hush
the
for
Land of Hush.
Pajanimals?
Hush.
Kind of
It's,
yeah,
it's like more like a quiet song or something.
Oh,
yeah.
with
I think
Bedtime Bunny.
Bedtime, but yeah.
Bedtime Bunny. For Pajanimals, I think we wrote all.
Yeah, okay, so you wrote that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah, that was really interesting
don't
because
ask
like
me to
most of them
remember
because most yeah, I mean no worries. I mean that was like
them.
20 years ago or something like that. But like or 15 years ago even. But like I mean that song is like so interesting because of, like that song is because most of the songs how the show was is more like kind of like in a way like uplift or more like a nighttime. But that one is kind of more just like a kind of more like a quiet type of
It's a
track. So
it's
so
amorphous.
it's really interesting.
It's
Yeah.
very amorphous, like the character. So it's like
Yeah, because at bedtime, because it's one of those episodes that bedtime Bunny was there.
yeah.
So I think every episode where she got to appear was also formed by wonderful
And
Donna.
that was also Donna doing that.
Yeah.
Running so yeah.
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 So basically, probably every episode that she got to be a bedtime Bunny, particularly, it was
Yeah.
like probably that song was
Yeah.
usually there, like every single episode when she there. So that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. So, as we're getting close to wrapping up here, can you share any projects that you're currently working on, at least that you are allowed to talk about?
Yeah.
Talk about this one. It's called Bunny Bee Me, and you can get it on. Is it
YouTube.
Facebook? YouTube. You go to YouTube and put in Bunny Bee Me, and the first song is Wonder to Worry to Wonder. And we wrote the theme song and one song so far. We're right in the middle of doing it, but they have already gone ahead and released on YouTube the first step for a couple of episodes now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's a company out of the East Coast who Mike Hilmelstein had given our name to, actually.
Nice.
And I know Mike is.
Nice, wonderful. Looking forward to what's gonna happen more over the last series down the road and everything else.
Absolutely. So, this last question that Chris is about to ask, we ask all of our guests. Go for it, Chris.
Thanks, Matt. Be glad to. So this podcast is called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. When you think of nostalgia, what do you think of, or how would you define the word nostalgia?
It's something that reminds you of a place that you were when you had the first time. It really has a lot to do with the first time you felt something. I think for me, nostalgia is like the first time I heard the Beatles. I can remember that like it was
Right.
yesterday. And the first time you hear something that really affects you, I used to say that a song that you have to stop, if you're listening in your car and you have to stop the car and pull over to the side of the road because it just grabs you somehow in a way that's really big. And I'd say that for me, nostalgia is it's the remembrances of things that were and how they shaped you. I think that's what nostalgia is for me. And I have a lot of nostalgia for the music of the 60s. And I find myself, I used to be a big pop music fan, now not so much.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, because we all, and there's a great film called Alive Inside, and it's about old people with Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
And what they would do is they would play music from the time that those people would have been 14 to 18 years old
Hmm.
and put it into an iPod and put it on their ears. And all those people would suddenly become very present because they would remember those songs, and they could sing them. They could talk to you about what those songs meant to them, where they might be uncommunicating, not be able to communicate in any other way, but they could tell you about where they were and who they were at that time with that music. That's how strong nostalgia can be in music. And music because music works on all parts of your head except for the front part. And the front part, the frontal lobe, is where everything gets censored.
Right.
But everything else, it works on every other part of your head, of your brain. So as a result, music works in ways that mere language and mere words can't. So
Right.
That's great to hear, Michael. And Patty, what about you?
Now, was the question, what is nostalgia for you? It was breaking
Yeah.
up as you were talking.
What does nostalgia mean to you?
Well, obviously the past. Have been so fortunate to have the family I came from, and I'm also a huge, huge animal lover. And so that with the animals, the dogs, the bunny rabbits, the lizards, the rats, everybody that I've had, they'd all have their names. I would just try, lots of times just out of the blue, I would write a little piece of poetry about all the people, animals in my life, and I think that's where the lyrical side of me came out of. That I'd like to come up with fun things, whether they were crazy or sad or happy, and so it brings back all those memories to me of my life and where I've been and the ripe young age. But so nostalgia is part of obviously part of my makeup completely.
Nice.
Thinking about the past. Yeah.
the older you get, the more nostalgic you are.
Yes.
For sure. Great words to end on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly.
So let us just part out, but I guess
The
we
older you get, the more you forget.
Yeah.
And we
Awesome.
very much appreciate you inviting us to talk with you today. It was wonderful.
It was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
We had a
Thank you so much.
blast.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Michael and Patty, for taking the time to do this. This is a
Yeah,
blast.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you
Enjoy the rest.
so much, you too.
Enjoy the rest of your day, both.
And we'll let you know when it goes
Big
up.
buddy, goodbye.
Bye. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much again. Take care, you both. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. It's goodbye from us as well. We absolutely enjoyed our time speaking with the wonderful songwriting duo Michael and Patty Silversher. Keep on the lookout for more wonderful interviews coming your way. Like they said, from us too, it's a big body goodbye. Jake, take us home. What do we say?
Yeah. Keep nostalgia alive. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode. Be sure to follow Jake and the Happy Nostalgia team on social media, check out our website, and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye-bye.